Another day, another show, and we still don't have an intro. But you are here, and we are here, and we're gonna take calls, and we're gonna debate. Anybody wants to call in right now, we will take your call. You should do it if you are not just a keyboard warrior who yells in comment sections. We'll take you on. That phone number is 33654320101. Freaking call. Welcome, everybody. That's the
that was beautiful.
That's today's intro. That's today's intro.
Can we make it the official intro? Because I don't think anything could be more perfect.
I feel like every time somebody's here for the first time, they hear me ad-lib an intro, and they're like, that should be it. And I'm like, well, who knows which one at this point? I think that one was okay, though. That one's okay. I did one with when Austin was here. That was good. But Austin's the music guy, so he'd be the one to do it. Hey, everybody, this is Calling It Now. We are just getting started. People will just be rolling in as we get into the shorts feed, as people get their notifications. They'll be coming around and checking it out. We are here to debate people who would like to debate. Let me change the banner size a little bit here on that one, that title, that lower one, so it fits a little bit. We have the claim that we're ready to defend on twice. Because we get name tags. Oh, that's the wrong one. I'm making the wrong one smaller. We have name tags that cover the middle one. So we want to make sure people always see that. And then the middle one will get changed in by the name tags as callers call in. But yeah, we're just getting started and we are ready for callers. If you, a little bit different from the shows we do over on the line, we will often, and in the future, there will even be a menu to choose from. But if you want to call in and debate on behalf of MAGA, on behalf of Trump, on behalf of Christianity, that these are good things for America. Today, the claim that we are making our central one and would most like to hear from people on is our claim that Trump and MAGA are bad for America. And this, as right now, more things are coming out, more announcements like today. Boy, Josie, don't you just love having a president who is starting a war with a country that actually could attack mainland America? Like a country that could walk here.
Lovely.
Right.
It's lovely. It's just wonderful. It's, it's these overseas wars, they're just a little too far away for people to feel the heat.
Right.
So let's bring them up close.
Right. I loved all the people who were like, well, Joe Biden wars and da-da-da. I'm voting for Trump because he's the anti-war president. No wars under Trump. Meanwhile, under Trump, Gaza's obviously gotten worse. Ukraine's gotten worse. He said he was going to end the Ukraine war before he even became president. Now he's having to admit, turns out Putin had no intention of working with me. All those things people were saying about how the reason why Putin didn't invade during his first term had much more to do with COVID than it had to do with Trump, and that it was just a matter of time before he would do it. That's all turning out to be true because clearly this guy, he said, he knows me, he respects me, he knows that I am serious. I'm going to be able to do it very easily, very quickly. Yeah, that's turning out that Putin doesn't respect him at all. Now we're seeing that there is a coalition of giant countries, Russia, China, and India, starting to form alliances that are going to fuck the rest of the world. Trump getting out on Truth Social, basically saying like, don't even worry about it. It's not a big deal. We don't even do that much with India because Trump doesn't know anything about anything. Go look at the drugs in your cabinets right now, people. Go look where your drugs came from. Go look where they were manufactured from. Guess what? It was India. Not all of them, but a good number of the pharmaceuticals. A lot of them that we consume. Literally, you guys have seen me drink my packets of resin, the stuff I have to drink all the time to live. Let me see if I've got an open pack. Well, I've got the top of one. It does not say the made in India thing on this part. I've only got the part that I have to tear off. I thought I'd have an open one. I guess I must have cleared trash out of here in the last couple of days that have ended up over on the desk, which is good. At least I'm on top of things. But anyway, made in India. We buy a lot of pharmaceuticals from India, as well as plenty of other things. So Donald Trump is a chump. I know I'm the first person who ever made that observation.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the thing is, it's like, Yeah, exactly. But the thing is like he not only is starting these wars, he's also lying about the wars because a lot of the things that India is mad about outside of just the ridiculous tariffs that come up and down is the fact that he's lying that he ended the war in Pakistan. And he really pissed them off a lot
Yeah,
by doing that. And one of the things that I'm worried about is the fact that because America is so unstable and other countries are working around us, what's the point of keeping the US currency as the reserve currency of the world? People like if that happens, like our price of our dollar will plummet and then we could reach like Greece level of problems. Like it's a really scary thing. And every time I see a major country ally with other nations and say, like, we're not working with America anymore, is just one extra little chip that just
right.
lands against our dollar.
And some
It's
people are
awful.
starting to get it. Yesterday or Sunday, we had a caller who called in. I believe his name was it David? No, I think it was the other caller who called in who was like, "Yeah, look, I voted for these reasons that I thought were right, and I'm realizing I was wrong because I'm a small business owner." Not like the one guy who called in who was like, "Oh, I'm a small business owner. The tariffs are great because it made me realize I could bring my manufacturing." So what I did, and anyone can do, since I'm a small business owner, and I created a factory to manufacture my stuff here, and now I control the production. And so like we're talking, I'm like, none of this is adding up. What does he mean? Anyone could? He did. And I finally asked him, like, what was your revenue? And it was in the hundreds of millions of dollars. But he's like, but I have
Yeah.
less than X number of employees, where it's like, no, there's still a dollar amount where you don't count as a small business anymore, regardless of if you and four dudes have $1 billion, you're not a small business anymore. You are accounting for a tremendous
Yeah.
amount of revenue and amount of business revenue in America. By the way, people, the numbers on what I was describing before, because I wanted to pull them up. In 2024, we exported $41 billion to India and we imported $87.3 billion we brought in much more than we exported. We literally buy so much shit from India. Like that whole
It
just,
it's a lot, and a lot of people don't realize, like,
we also
other
service
parts come
import, by
from
the way.
India.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, other parts come from India. So, like, for example, like, we're dealing with all these little micro tariffs. So, like, one nation will have an Indian part in their nation, and then they'll put it together, and then all of these little tariffs add up. By the time it leaves the shore of the nation as a complete product, we are paying so many extra little tariff fees, and it's a complete disaster. It's and we are reeling as an economy where grocery prices are going up. Like soybean farmers are losing their farms because China doesn't want to do business with us. So the economy is just it's just tanking in such a way, and the only reason it's our economy's even kind of looks like it's doing okay is because we just keep building data servers and all of these AI server farms that they just keep on planting places. And now people's electricity bills are just going up and up and up.
Yeah.
It's
Even
wild how bad it is.
even the like looking good things, like it's like, no, the stock market and a few companies in the stock market, because of this revolutionary new product, are making the overall average of the stock market looking good. But if you look deeper into the stock market, clearly that story is not as good. If you just remove like the new services like AI, which is a service that is reducing the size of the workforce in the long term, not increasing it. And then on top of that, like the by the way, people, I had to re-put in the poll. I saw that I misspelled America. But yeah, people, the when it comes down to how are you doing, which it is nice to see. Like I was seeing on Truth Social, there were people in Trump was claiming like the cost of groceries are down, gas is down, da, da, da. And there were literally people there. It's like, dude, I'm ride or die Trump, but somebody is lying to you. Like, I don't know. How do we let him know? How do we show? There were people in there literally like, do we go to Washington and like protest, not like protest him, but protest like whoever's not telling him that the gas is not down, that groceries are not down, because they don't think he knows that. They don't realize he does not give a fuck about you. He's aware of all of those things, and he thinks he is doing what caused Biden Harris to lose, right? Or
Yeah.
and obviously Harris was the actual head of the ticket, but Harris, and then with the Biden administration behind, a lot of people are saying, hey, we're fucking struggling right now. Everything hurts. And they would come out and be like, no, inflation's
It's
going down. No,
fine.
these numbers are good. These stats are good. Like, you're saying things are bad, but it's worth noting. And there is ways you should have delivered the message of, yes, inflation has happened, but America has had reduced inflation compared to other nations. We prevented much bigger amounts of inflation compared to other modern nations. And like, there is messaging around that you have to deliver, but don't deliver it in a way of like, therefore you can't be hurting. Cause that was the response to Payne was like, but what about the stock market? You can't be hurt.
Yeah.
But what about unemployment is so low, even though no fucking person, starting with Obama, where you started to see the gig economy begin and then like growing before from there, has addressed the idea of like unemployment is low because most people are not most, but a huge number of people now are doing contractor jobs that come with no benefits or safety or guarantees. They're doing Uber, DoorDash, all that shit. It's like, unemployment being low is no longer impressive because you can basically still have low unemployment and high poverty and high wealth insecurity and super high wealth inequality, which is what we have. So
Yeah, I mean, when you don't raise the minimum wage for over 30 years, that's what ends up happening. You stagnate the labor market, and now people are working 3 or 4 jobs, and a lot of them are gig economy jobs. So people just can't even make it
yeah,
at all. And now we can't even trust the numbers anymore. He's firing statisticians, as we know. There's no way we can trust anything that's getting put out. The vaccine stuff, the CDC is being gutted yet again. And we are in this like little death spiral, and we don't know where the top is. And that's one thing that I think people don't like politicians for, is the fact that the politician, when they're in power, is everything's great, everything's wonderful, everything is amazing. Why can't you see it's great? It's incredible. And so right now, the Trump administration's also fallen for the same tactics, like you said with the previous administration. It's like, no, everything's fine, we're doing a good job. And yes, there were arguably good things that were happening, but it was not trickling down to the people that actually were dealing with high gas prices, dealing with grocery prices, dealing with the housing crisis, where
the rich
housing just
people were
isn't
doing
being
great.
built. Oh yeah, you can always find a mansion.
Yeah.
There's no supply shortage on mansions and yachts. You can find yours. You
By
can
the
have
way,
it. Fine.
7% of you responding with 150 votes so far have said that yes, Trump is good for America. We just want to hear your reasons. All right. You got a phone. You're probably watching this on that phone. That phone number is right there, and it's easy to remember. 1-33654-32101. Right? 33654-32101. Call us now and just tell us why. We want to hear why. We're going to fact check it, but we want to hear why. Why is this good? Why is what is happening with Putin good? Why is what's happening with the Epstein files good? Why is having somebody who looks like it is going to be the funniest thing ever if after all of the too old to be president things happened, if Donald Trump croaks before Biden. And right now, that's looking like a high level of possibility. Like we were basically all this gaslighting as though like the Democrats, of which I am not one, but the Democrats were doing something crazy, because compared to Trump is like, he's spry, he's energetic, he's good to go. But that Biden, he's too old to be president. And meanwhile, Donald Trump has had the speech patterns of a dementia patient for the last like 8 years at least. And so many issues there, but we needed to like, but is it bad? Is it bad? It's just very, very frustrating.
It's so frustrating because there is no mainstream apparatus that is like poking deeply at Trump as there was when Biden tripped up the stairs, right? Like Biden's or when Biden's brain fell out on stage on a debate, like everybody was like, "Hey, he needs to leave," but yet Trump can't even walk straight line during the Putin summit and is literally has every symptom imaginable to like somebody's on death's door and nobody blinks an eye.
I don't love that I'm going to say this sentence, but I wish Nikki Haley had been right, because Nikki Haley had said back in 2024 that the winner of the general election will be the first party to get rid of their 70-plus-year-old candidate. And the Democrats did. And yet, a man who is very, a lot of signs of congestive heart failure and other issues, and his mental acuity being on, we are the laughing stock. People like Putin. What was the whole thing? They respect us now. The first time they had their summit back in his first term, he literally got Trump to concede to something we would have considered treasonous in the past. And it wasn't until after the news conference he had to be like taken aside and be like, hey, you can't give him a political prisoner that he wants. You can't, this guy that they think was a spy, you can't turn that guy over to Russia, that shit that he was trying to do. And now this time making us look absolutely awful. So it does look like we have at least one call. Another reminder, we would love to talk to more of you who think you can defend that Donald Trump and his policies and the Republican, the conservatives, even if you want to go with like, I don't believe in Trump anymore, but I believe in MAGA, and I believe in JD Vance, whatever you want to go with, as far as if you want to defend it, we want to hear from you. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and take our first call, and we'll talk to George in Texas. George, I'm in Texas as well. How are you?
Great. How are you?
Great. I'm over in the Austin area. Are we neighbors? You in a whole different, it's a huge state. Oh, nice. Yeah, about 3 hours away. How's Houston? Has it been as terribly hot as it is here?
Yeah, it's been pretty hot recently.
Pretty bad summer.
Otherwise, it's been okay.
Yeah. Not as bad. Were you around, was it 2 years ago? 2 or 3 years ago? Were you around for that summer? That was like the worst summer?
Yeah, that was probably like one of the worst ones out there.
Yeah, that was rough. All right, well, George, you're on the line with Jimmy and Josie, and it says here that you agree with the policies Trump is putting into place. Do you already have a direction you want to go, or do you want us to ask you some questions about that?
With abortion policies.
Okay.
I just think that the killing of millions of babies per year is wrong.
Okay. Now, has Donald Trump come out against abortion, or has Donald Trump said the right thing is to take it back to the states?
He appointed judges to the Supreme Court to overturn Roe v. Wade.
Right, but Trump isn't actually against a total abortion ban, is he?
Yeah, which is disappointing, but it's still better than Kamala Harris's.
Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
Right.
So, Norm, what do you define a baby as? You said millions of babies. I think that would be like Gaza or something, but go ahead. A baby is a person. Okay, great. Okay, yeah. So a baby is a person. Great. So are you talking about, so a young person? Okay. So what you're saying is that right now we have an epidemic of babies being massacred and slaughtered everywhere. I know that's happening with gun violence. That's happening, but
I would have liked them to define person, because you haven't really added much. If you say baby, so person is what we describe.
Somebody with unique human DNA.
Okay, so if something has human DNA, we are obliged to keep it alive, correct?
Yes.
So this is where definitions become so shitty, and we can get into our actual arguments of abortion or not. But what you've just described means that we also need to protect the lives of zygotes, embryos. Maybe we should be intercepting people to find out if they don't even know they're pregnant, because more fertilized embryos are lost than ever implant naturally. Natural quote unquote abortions happen way, way more often than an actual abortion performed by a doctor, way more often. Then
even in the case, go ahead.
Human placentas also have human DNAs and are alive whenever a baby is delivered. A human placenta is essentially the genetic twin of the baby. We don't keep that thing alive. So it seems like personhood is something we have to agree on. When is the point that we would grant personhood? And then does personhood also mean that you as an individual have the right to subsist off of the body of another individual because you are dying? So George, let's go with that personhood wherever you put it. Let's talk about whether or not that should qualify. George, let's say you and I.
Yes, the reason why personhood should qualify in my definition of personhood is going to be consistent is because when we're talking about when we should value the fetus, we are not referring to some sort of conscious state. If we're referring to some sort of conscious state, obviously there's some absurd conclusions we could draw, such as like killing people in vegetative states, right? So we can agree a conscious experience is not what's going to constitute as a person.
But we do kill people in vegetative states, right?
Yeah.
Do you think it's moral to do so?
I don't think it's immoral
when
or
they're
moral.
brain dead.
I think there's no morality involved. If a thing is not having a conscious
Killing somebody
experience,
has no morality to be involved with. So if I slaughtered a kid, you would say that's a bad action, immoral action at least.
correct?
Right.
So what's the difference when we're killing somebody in a vegetative state? That is going to be a moral or an immoral action, to be
No,
clear,
it isn't. No,
right?
No.
Things can be amoral. They can have there can be no moral commentary on a proposition. So if something is in a vegetative state, there is no brain, there is no experience. Autonomy requires a conscious experience. So you can't violate the autonomy of something that essentially is being kept alive by us, whose brain isn't participating in the keeping alive. And so that person is no more alive and having a human experience than your couch is. Now, there's a difference between actually brain dead and a person who could come out of a coma, but that's not what an actual vegetative state is.
This is just a confused way of defining what a person is or what moral actions are, right?
No, it isn't. I'm not
No.
remotely
Saying that,
confused.
hey, listen, boy.
Excuse
you're
me.
telling
Hey,
me
George, first of all, George, now I think you're just a joke I doubt you're even MAGA, but calling me boy does nothing for me. I will continue to engage on the possibility, but you talking down and saying, listen, boy, and describing me as confused when it was you who was confused. First of all, you're confused from the onset because MAGA has not stopped abortions. They have only allowed states to regulate them more. Excuse me, what?
You can't get an abortion in multiple states right now.
That's not true. You can get at some point along, you can actually get an abortion in every state.
Weeks in the state? Yes or no?
Excuse me, what?
Can you get an abortion past 6 weeks in this state?
That's not what you said. You just moved the goalpost. You said you cannot get an abortion in the state, and then you move the goalpost.
Pro-life movement than Kamala Harris has.
It is
the point.
The Texas position is wrong.
That?
George, it's funny how a moment ago, all right, so George, because you can't handle yourself, I'll handle you for you. Since you can't handle yourself, a moment ago you complained about, listen, boy, don't interrupt me, and you're not allowing me to finish sentences. You are extremely confused. You don't understand the concept of autonomy, so I'm going to explain it all to you, and then we'll come back. Obviously, it is the case that Texas policies are cruel and wrong, but your statement that there are states you can't get abortions in was wrong. Then when that was called out, you immediately moved the goalpost. Whether or not giving something that doesn't have a human conscious experience is immoral or amoral to then stop their existence. No, it's not immoral, it's amoral. There is no moral concept. Just as like the sperm, George, as you chronically masturbate, your sperm is technically alive with human DNA, and you're committing, according to your own definition, genocide every time you dump that shit into a sock, because we know it's going into sock is certainly not going into people. Boy. George, so having the human DNA and being alive is not enough to say that it's immoral. It's amoral. Those things are dying, but they're not having a live conscious human experience. So then if you want to get into a person who has personhood that we have, which in America, you get personhood upon birth. But even if you want to go with the conscious, that they start to have a conscious experience of humanity prior to being born, now we have a different conversation to have. And this is the one that actually matters for abortion. Do you, George, right now have a right to somebody else's body if it would save your life? The answer has been unequivocally no. A doctor cannot, or a police cannot, force you to give blood, to give marrow, to give stem cells, to let a person hook themselves up to you and use your kidneys, even if it would save their life, or vice versa. If your life would be saved if I would just give you one of my kidneys, I can say no and watch you die, and there is no repercussion for me. Now, if I liked you, I might decide to, but I am allowed to say no. And the same thing is true of abortion. And then y'all's side get into this absolutely bizarre and dishonest thing, this talk about late-term abortions. So even when we're talking about a person whom you can argue have some level of personhood, late-term abortions are not because somebody at 7 months is like, I was on board, but now I'm not, so I'm going to bail on it. Late-term abortions are overwhelmingly performed to protect the life of the mother or to prevent the suffering of a fetus that is destined to die in an unpleasant way. So speaking of kidneys, if you are born with a genetic disease where your kidneys did not develop, the blood in your system is going to back up into your lungs, you will drown on the table, and you will die. It is virtually unstoppable, inevitable. And so there is the option to say, hey, we know this is the case. We know this is going to happen. We can put the child to sleep in your womb. They will never wake up. We will deliver it, because most late-term abortions are delivery. Even, you can even call inducing a pregnancy an abortion, because you are aborting the pregnancy. So the term abortion itself is vague enough. It's about whether or not, when we're talking about here, whether or not you're ending the life of that fetus. And in the case of late-term abortions, it is almost always done sympathetically. And the whole idea, which I understand as a conservative, you only say you like the government to not overreach, but you want the government everywhere, including in a doctor's office, that a doctor and a mother should not have to wait on a state bureaucrat who has no medical training to agree with whether or not that abortion is good or not, when we already know the stats on it, when and how abortions are performed, and that there is not some tremendous problem of conscious babies that are just being killed for no reason. Because again, after that 7-month period, if somebody wants to get rid of a baby for like, I'm just done with this pregnancy, generally it is going to be delivered and then put out for adoption, not aborted. So now that has all been explained to you, because I have to do it all at once before you jump in with your 30,000 interruptions, condescending terms, thinking you could call me boy as though that would matter and not just expose you as a troll, and you think you have some power in here. Now I will unmute you, and now hopefully you will understand that you have no power here, and you will have to follow the rules of conversation.
All right, nice, yeah. So you didn't address anything I actually said or the argument that was that question. So when we're describing moral actions, if all you mean by moral is something that's going to invoke on somebody's bodily autonomy, that's not going to be a substantive definition, because then we would have to get into like questions about like throwing rocks at like private property, for example. You're not violating anybody's autonomy.
Great. So I actually did address it in that we don't have to have a moral argument. We don't have to have a moral argument, because morality is not a thing. This is an amoral act that we are considering here. And the actual conversation is about autonomy. The morality did come in. The morality could come in when we talked about compelling a person to give their body up to somebody else.
I'm interrupting you, but you're terrible at this.
Yes, I can interrupt you as much as I want, George, especially when you get you. All right, so I'll just go ahead and mute. If you are dishonest and you try to misrepresent what was just said, or go, you didn't even go with the argument at hand. Actually, I did. The only argument at hand is autonomy, which I addressed with the whole compelling a person to lend their kidneys or blood or marrow to somebody else. So if you're going to go dishonest and be like, I'm going to start with a dishonest statement, not allow a person to refute that, and then just go on as though we're going to accept that statement as true, you're definitely going to get stopped. Because why would I waste time on the 5 paragraphs of you supporting a statement that on its face at the beginning was wrong? Why waste that time? It's not going to be supporting why it wasn't wrong. It's going to be a sort of like, here's a statement, now I will proceed as though we agree it is true. So now if you would like to try again there, George. It is not I who is bad at this. It is you who is terrible at it. By the way, before I unmute, if you think you can do better, engage more honestly than George here, that phone number is on the screen, 33654-32101. He has set the bar very low. We'd love to have a very pleasant conversation with a right-winger who's any good at this. George has hung up. George has hung up because I think that is George's acknowledgement that he is very bad at it. George, as he was called out for not actually understanding these arguments, because he doesn't. He fully doesn't. No. As he says, that's not the argument at hand. It literally is. The moral argument doesn't matter, as was already addressed, with whether or not you can be compelled to give up your organs or part of your body to sustain somebody else's life.
Yeah, absolutely. And his argument falls apart because he used the word killing millions of babies, which is like one of those morally reprehensible thing to do is to kill a baby, and trying to use that as moral as his tool. But the second you disarm that tool and say it's an immoral action for bodily autonomy, it's like, wait, you can't do that. And it's like, no, we can. And that's how you have a conversation. But to be like, no, you can't change the word I use. It's like, that's not how you communicate like an adult.
It's like, always they always go with basically an argument they got from church that they feel like they can morally charge the words with. And he's like, I agree with Trump's policies, except for right away, it turns out you don't. I literally told you what his policy was. Well, yeah, that's very disappointing. So you already went with a policy that you don't agree with Trump on. But thank you for taking a break from committing genocide into your socks to make that call where you showed you were terrible at this. But if you want to call in and be actually honest in your presentation and not suck as George did just now, 336-54-32101. In the meantime, people, while we wait for a call to come in, if you do want to send in some super chats, we will read some out for y'all so that you're getting something out of that call. I'd love to see some super chats on how well they think George did. Send a super chat now if you think that that actually George was doing fine and it was me who stepped on it. We'll read it. Apparently I missed a super chat the other day where somebody said, because I was eating the 40% reduced fat. These are the best potato chip there is. Cape Cod, 40% less fat. And I'm saying I would eat the full fat ones if they were better. They're not. The 40% less fat Cape Cod chips are the best potato chip. As far as a plain, non-flavored potato chip, kettle cooked, this is the best one. And
you're not even getting paid to say this.
I'm not.
This is like a beautiful ad read that you're doing for Cape Cod potato chips right now.
I should get paid. I don't know if they have but I don't even know. They would have to just do sponsorships because I just get these from the grocery store. I'm not asking people to order them. These are legitimately so good. They're so good. That number's on the screen, people. We would love to talk to an honest conservative, 33654-32101. And shoot in your super chats now, and we'll read those. We'll read those out. Make sure that George, who I'm sure is still in the audience, seething, send us the message you would like us to read to George as he tries to see if he has a sock that has a dry spot left. That's what George is up to right now. He's sorting through his socks. They're all dirty. They're all covered in his genocide, but he's trying to see if there's one that's got a little spot left.
All that dead living DNA, all that dead DNA, all of it.
Just the biggest genocide of all time in his.
Yeah, of all time.
I would say it's in his hamper, but let's be honest.
For personhood.
He doesn't put it in his hamper.
That was one of the worst. That was one of the worst definitions for personhood I've ever heard. Human DNA. It's like fingernail clippings when you pull out your hair by accident. Like you have to bury
placentas.
it. Every time you clip your nails, you have to put it in a box, say a little prayer, and put it into the ground.
Guys,
every time you do it. It's really
I don't want to freak out. To the caller who just called in, call back. You're easily going to do better. Call back in. I don't know why you jumped in. You left. You'll easily do better than George did. George set the bar so low. George, now some people go by Bob. So George, can I call you douchebag? I wonder why you George, technically if you want to try again, we'll go for it, but we'll let calls get screened. People, we got to pay the bills here. So do send us a super chat for whatever you would like us to pass along to George as we get these calls screened, which is mainly for the purpose of getting the titles. We're not screening calls because we're scared of particular arguments. To tell you the truth, the number one reason we tell a caller they're not going to come in, and this I think would blow a lot of people's mind, because I think there are people who call like, oh, there's a screener. No, I wanted to get in. Now they're not going to take my topic because they know they're going to lose. We virtually never, unless it's a person who in the past just calls in, yells slurs and bails.
Yeah.
The reason why we tell people they can't are the people who call who are like, I just wanted to call and tell Jimmy and Josie that I just really appreciate their stuff. And usually the screener's like, we'll pass the message along, but fucking no way are we wasting time on compliments. Not when we've got George's in the audience ready to go.
That's true.
Yeah.
And if there's anybody in the audience that was on the cause I won on Friday, I just want to say thank you. we did some great work on that call. So thank
Yeah.
you everybody who donated. It was huge. It was huge. It was great.
Yep. It was huge.
So,
Some people are saying it was one of the best campaign donation querying. What's the word? Soliciting
fundraising
things of all time, that in terms of donations, it was a donation thing that was going on. And frankly, because if you look at the map with Hillary, because Hillary did not do so good, and the map, it looked so bad because the donations, when we were doing the donations and Woody from Toy Story was out there, and you know, he's got a friend in me. Frankly, he's got a friend in me because and what we're doing is a weave. I like a weave, except in a person of color's hair. I don't. Frankly, that's not the kind of weave that I am, but I do a much better weave that I think is more elegant. Also, please don't look at the back of my hand or the fact that I used to make fun of Hillary Clinton's cankles, and now I've got a cankle that would set a world record for cankleless cankle in all of the land. Frankly, it is embarrassing, and I'm going to cry myself to sleep tonight. Also, people, when you are, so if you're waiting on hold right now, once the screener gets to you, if you could be very brief with them.
Yes.
It needs to be a very quick screening experience. The screener is not there to debate you at all. They just want your info and what to put in there. Veeks did say Team Josie, also not related to MAGA, but up here in Canada, we got book bans going on here that are inching toward the right. Aren't book bans always toward the right?
Yeah. You know, you never hear about those liberal book bannings, you know, the ones that just burn all the Bibles.
Yeah.
Never get those. Yeah, never,
it looks
never,
like
never.
We had a caller who was calling
We had one
in that,
but I guess the screener screened out.
No, I think they quit, but I see the question here. We'll answer while the additional calls are getting screened. What did you guys see in Kamala Harris? That she wasn't Trump, that she was better than Trump. But do you think I'm a Kamala Harris stan? Do you think I would have primaried for Kamala Harris ever?
Ever? No.
Literally never would I have. But when you have two choices, Trump or Kamala Harris, the one that the last 6 months, oh my God, it's been more. It's been 8. The last 8 months of things that happened, you can see some version of me saying that those things were going to happen in the year that led up. Like, I'm unfortunately quite good at predicting fascist behavior, probably because I used to be one. So that would be the fact that those things wouldn't have happened would be what I saw in Kamala Harris. A lot of them. But no, I'm not a Kamala Harris stan. If you think that I'm a big fan for Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
Joshua Everett asks, and then we'll get to this next call. Joshua Everett asks, are you going to immediately go live when it happens? # Bill Money for Jimmy. Probably. If I am at a place where I could go live, I would say almost certainly. And I've already said that the title of the stream will just be Word.
Yeah,
you know.
and we also got Kamichi Mendoza sending love from the other side of the globe. Thank you for that.
Aw, thank you.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. All right, let's talk to Nathan. Nathan in Ohio. Nathan, how I want to do this at the beginning of every call because I feel like it sets a tone. So Nathan in Ohio, you're on the line with Josie and Jimmy. Let's start with, how is the weather in Ohio this time of year?
Oh, it is kind of good, kind of horrible. I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah. You get tornadoes up there, don't you? Isn't Ohio a bit of a tornado hotspot?
My area, no.
Okay. Maybe I'm tripping on that. A lot of rain right now. How's the temperatures?
The temperatures are actually pretty good. Great for landscaping season.
All right. Good. Rain, a lot of rain?
Surprisingly, no. We kind of need that because the grass is pretty bad right now.
Yeah. We're down in, have you been to Texas ever?
No.
Don't ever come through the months of like, May can be nice, but it's like a kind of a crapshoot. Never come July through like mid-September. It's the worst place. And then the rest of the year, you're like, oh, this is why people live here. And you kind of forget. And then the next one comes around. You're like, why didn't I fucking move? Anyway, Nathan, what a lovely way to start. Let's talk about you in Ohio. You support MAGA. I'd love to hear why.
So, I'll be honest, I do kind of support Trump. You know,
Okay.
I do a lot of some research on ground news, which tells me like both sides, and I do agree with some of the left side. You
Mhm.
know, I do agree with that, but I definitely focus more on MAGA with the ICE raids.
So you'd say the ICE raids,
Especially-
you support the ICE raids. That's the thing you like.
Yes.
Why?
So one of the biggest things for me is that they have the Mexican flag and they're shouting like the Mexicans singing all their stuff burning the American flag. But if I go to Mexico or if I go to French and I burn their flag and I go I love America, stuff like that, then I'll get kicked out immediately. And if they really like Mexico,
Not necessarily. Not necessarily.
I'll engage
Like-
him though as though it is true. Let
Okay,
him finish
sure.
this point real quick. I just want to see. But it is
Yeah.
illegal. You're right. It's illegal in Mexico to burn the flag. You're right. Go ahead. Finish your thought there, and then I'll give you my response.
so I do, and coming here illegally, that's not really a good thing. And
It's not
you-
really a bad thing though
Oh.
either. Bad people coming anyway is bad. But first of all, Nathan, I think I want to ask you some questions before I respond to the thing you've said. Nathan, what is the number one way a person, quote unquote, comes here illegally?
Oh, they come across the border.
Sure, everyone has to cross the border, but what specifically, if somebody's quote unquote coming here illegally, what's that look like? How are they coming across the border?
Sneaking in, pretty much.
No,
From what I can think of off the
no.
right?
And so, Nathan, we're already getting to, this is going to be the rest of the theme of us talking about ICE. We can talk about other topics soon, but I can already tell you have fallen for a farce because there are basic facts you already don't know that change all of what you think is happening. The number one way a person becomes an illegal immigrant. Do you want one more shot at it before I tell you?
No, you can tell me.
They overstay a visa. They come here. There's no sneaking. They come here legally. Their visa runs out. And then at some point, now they may get intercepted by ICE. But this is a tradition of quote unquote illegal immigration that goes back forever. But we only care when the brown group does it. My mother did that exact same thing. For most of my childhood, my mother was an illegal immigrant. But she was an illegal immigrant from Great Britain and married to a white American. No one cared once. Nobody knocked on the door. Nobody came here at all. The number one funder of the Republicans, if you looked at a specific individual, the conservatives, last election, who would it be? If you went from a person who wasn't a politician, a person who funded PACs, did the most activism for Republicans out of the quote unquote goodness of their own heart, who would you say that was this last election cycle, Nathan?
I'm sorry, I blanked out, but yeah, I do see your point.
It'd be Elon Musk. Do you know that that is exactly how Elon Musk was an illegal immigrant in this country prior? The exact same way?
Okay.
Should Elon Musk have been deported and never allowed to return? Should he have been scooped off of the street? Should we have not done due process for him and just sent him to an Ecuadorian prison or a Ugandan prison?
No, I think that's fair then.
You think it would have been fair to do that to Elon or no?
No,
It would
Yes.
have been fair to.
It would have
to
been fair?
Elon. Yeah, sorry.
so you would have been okay with Elon getting his window busted, having some mass person not give him a warrant whatsoever, and just throw him in the back of a truck and send him to CCOT like that would have been fine. That would have been okay.
Well, I would say put him in the holding area.
Why?
But without due process.
What is it that the immigrants who are overstaying their visas mostly, Again, that's most of illegal immigration. What is it that they are doing that hurts you and hurts other people so much that you think, and Nathan, maybe this will come to where your ignorance is again, but we know that they aren't a drain on the economy. They actually help the economy, and they put money into our tax system even and don't take benefits back because they can't. They basically are paying taxes and receiving nothing. We know that they're not a crime problem because actually I think it's 4-1. You are 25% as likely to commit a crime if you are here as an illegal immigrant, an undocumented person, as you are if you are an American citizen. So it's not a crime thing, but you mentioned the burning the flag thing and that you find that disgusting. And sure, if you have an attachment to that piece of fabric, I don't. I'd shit on it. I don't give a fuck. Like it's a piece of fabric. I already grew up in a cult. I don't like anything that's like cult-like. And this devotion to a symbol of, for what? Because I was born here, I'm supposed to be proud of this thing and be devoted to it. Like it's out of chance I was born in the spot. I don't hold any of that. But I will tell you what I do hold. A very patriotic view of mine is that I think the First Amendment pretty much fucking rocks. And I think that the conservatives right now are attacking it, for example, by trying to make flag burning illegal. Because when you described that Mexico, if you burn a flag there, it's illegal and stuff could happen to you. But in America, they're doing it and nothing's happening to them. Where you're describing that as a negative, I'm describing that as one of the things that America is good for. That in that specific way, especially, America is better than Mexico or any country that has a similar law that says you're not allowed to basically have anti-patriotic views or protest and go, America has abandoned us, so burn that flag, fuck this place. Nathan, if you want to answer that, what is it that the two things are? One, how is burning a flag not a reason why America's great, as opposed to that it's bad that they're allowed to burn them? Because again, I can do it as an American citizen. I can do it right now and nobody will do shit. Even under Donald Trump's executive order, if I don't commit another crime, they can't attach shit to it. So what's so bad about them there? And when they are being actively targeted to not have due process in protest burning a flag, that is actually hurting you, making your life worse, making the economy you're in worse. What is the actual negative effect on you besides, that offends me?
I mean, well, it doesn't really offend me because I'm even like kind of discussing when Americans do it to their own flag.
Sure, but would you send me to prison if I did it?
I'm not going to send you to prison. I'm just saying, like, they're trying to do that.
So what?
Okay, and
so it offends you. Bummer, dude. Lots of things offend me, and I just go on living my life.
Yeah, and Nathan, I just want to add this too. I served in the United States Navy, and I served in overseas, both Iraqi freedom and Enduring freedom in the Persian Gulf. And I fought for people to be able to burn the American flag, because if people are going to jail for expressing their freedoms, then that offends me. And you know how many veterans it offends that they're trying to put laws on people's freedom of speech and freedom of protest? Like, it's disgusting. It stands against everything that veterans have fought for and died for this country. I don't care if it offends you. Talk to a veteran and say, and that actually fought hard to try to actually make this flag a symbol. I saluted the flag. I fought under the flag. I served under the flag. And you can burn it all goddamn day. I don't care, because that's the freedom that I fought for. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but the thing about it is, I get the veteran thing, you know, but, you know, my grandpa fought in Vietnam.
He fought for people to burn the flag too. They all fought for people's freedom of speech. Everybody did. In fact, it was veterans from Vietnam War that were burning flags in protest that essentially ended the Vietnam War.
Do you think, Nathan, the Vietnam War was a just war? That was the war we should have gone into?
No, I do not.
Okay, well then I'm not sure what your point was.
Yeah, Nathan, I don't understand why you're
Yeah,
so
you guys
offended.
are.
Did you I understand you have family and stuff that served in the military and stuff, but why is it so irky to you as a person who hasn't served under you may be a veteran, I don't know. But if you didn't even serve under the flag with saluting it, fighting for it, and having to fold it and see it draped over a coffin of a friend, I don't understand why you in particular are so irked out by it when I say do it. It's your freedom of speech.
Fair point. Yeah.
Right?
Think that
Because
makes
it's a
sense.
piece of cloth. The freedom is more important to me than any piece of cloth. Look, I have a flag. I have an American flag on my little desk back here. It's cut out of the frame at the moment, but it's there. I'm proud of the flag. But it doesn't make me mad if people have to do what they have to do to make a statement. You should be proud as an American that people can do that.
Nathan, coming back then to immigrants, what are immigrants doing to you or to people you care about or your community that is more than just offensive? Because it's legal to be offensive in America, right? What is it more than just being offensive to you that's bugging you about immigrants who have overstayed their visas mostly, but are a solid part of our labor force, a solid part of our communities, their families, they're members of families of people who are here. What are they doing that's bugging you? That should be illegal. That should matter. Go ahead.
One of the bigger things that
Did you get cut off, Nathan? What were you saying? One of the bigger things, what?
With Obama saying it's fine for the ICE raids,
Who said it's fine for the ICE raids?
Obama.
What
11 years ago.
Wait.
What are you?
For what?
Are you saying that Obama also over deported people? Because totally, you're right. Obama deported too many people, and they did try to be a little bit more precise, but Obama wasn't a good president either. He was better than the alternative. He was better than McCain, and he's better than Mitt Romney, but Obama was a war criminal, and Obama also seemed to have a level of separation in his mind of those people who were American and not American and how much he cared about those people. Is he better than McCain would have been, Romney on him? Definitely. But what is the whataboutism here for? I'm asking you, what are immigrants doing that are wrong, that we should worry about them here when we have all of these positive things about them, how they enhance our culture, enhance our workforce, all of those things. We have all those positives. What's the negative that says they shouldn't be here? And Nathan, if you don't have that, I'll have a different question for you.
I was wrong.
Cool. Nathan, do you feel like, were you born an American?
Yes.
Is that why you're an American citizen?
No, I was a third generation here.
Yeah. I would also like to argue
got
that
here legally.
It sounds like you're already coming around on it, so I'm not going to harp on this too hard and we can go to a different policy. But the point I was going to make, a lot of the people that you are apparently okay or were okay with seeing rounded up and removed from this country have done more for America and fought harder to be a part of America than the average American citizen has. Because just being born here is not a qualification. Obviously, it's the way we establish birthright citizenship and everything. But I was born here as a matter of circumstance. I haven't earned my way here more than anybody else. So if we wanted to go with the merits of a person earning, when people are like, we want to be an immigration meritocracy, but there is no merit test for the people already here. And as Mehdi Hassan said on that one terrible show that he was on with those fascists, there was a person saying that they believe that even American citizens should have to pass some kind of citizenship test. He mentioned that would be interesting because the actual American-born people would probably do much worse than the immigrants, because that's true. It is absolutely true. So I think that you have to be able to articulate a good reason to not want these people here more than just they offend your sensibilities to continue to support ICE raids. And by the way, even if, Nathan, you had that, we would have had, I'll save it for if another person wants to come in and they've got something they think is a good reason. I would still be opposed to ICE raids because I don't believe in living in a police state. I don't believe in getting the military on the streets like that. I don't think that just saying a crime will go down is enough reason for it, basically that the ends justify the means in that scenario. Clearly there's a limit that we would all say, you know, if we put a cop in every neighborhood, like literally on every street, and they're allowed to just walk into your house at any time, technically domestic violence would go down. But that doesn't mean we would all support warrantless cops that are allowed to just enter the house and check what's going on at any given time. That would be a huge violation of freedom. And I think ICE is currently one of those types of huge violations of freedom that a lot of people that look like myself, and I suspect what you look like, though I don't know for a fact that you're white, Nathan, but I suspect you are. A lot of people like myself don't have to worry about that level of violation coming for us because of the color of our skin. Meanwhile, American citizens are even getting rounded up in these ICE raids, it's turning out. And people who have stay orders, like do not deport this person, and certainly don't deport them specifically to Ecuador, where they are a target for Ecuadorian gangs. And then the Trump administration did just that. So Nathan, that's all I have left to say, unless you have something else on immigration. We can move to another policy, or we can move to another call if you prefer.
No, yeah, I'll move on to another call. Yeah, I see what you guys are saying, and I'll be definitely doing more research. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks, Nathan.
Thank you, Nathan.
You were much better than George. My God. Not just because not just because of we found a middle ground, but George was a dick.
I try to listen to all sides. I was raised in a conservative house, and that's where a lot of this stuff gets pushed onto me, and I think it's more correct. But I see what everyone is saying. So thank you.
I used to be too, Nathan.
Feel free to have anybody in your home call me. I'm not even joking. If you're like, you know what, my dad's a little stronger on this, I will happily talk to your dad about it. All right.
Yeah, I'll have my dad. I'll see if my dad wants to call, because he knows a lot more information than me, and he is definitely more right.
We'll be back Thursday. We have a lot of lines full right now, so Thursday, especially calling in early. If he wanted to call in, I'm happy to talk to your dad.
All right, cool. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks, Nathan.
Thanks, Nathan.
Now, was it the weather thing that helped?
I don't know. I don't know. I think Nathan was just a very polite person.
Sure. To the person who just called back, I dropped you because we want serious callers. If you want to call and not be doing a impression of Donald Trump, you can call in with an actual point, but this isn't like, hey, we gathered our audience so you could show off your impression. The only person who's frankly going to be doing a Trump impression on this show, it's going to be clearly me. Can you do a Melania?
I can't do a Melania, but I can do a pretty good Donald Trump. I
Pretty
can
good.
do it with you.
I can help you refine it if you like. Frankly, does anyone do a Melania? Because I can't remember. Oh, Donald. What does he sound like? Who the fuck even cares?
Donald.
Oh, Donald.
Is it be best, Donald, be best.
Don't bully. I feel like
Don't bully.
I'm trying to sound like her, but slowly I'm becoming Consuela from Family Guy. No, Donald.
No.
All right.
No, Donald.
This is going to be an interesting one. We're going to talk to Loki, and Loki, I got to tell you, I've got some red troll flags up because it's hard to believe that somebody with neo pronouns is pro MAGA, but Loki calling with Zer pronouns is apparently MAGA. Loki, you're on the line with Jimmy and Josie, and let's just start with how's the weather in New Hampshire?
Sunny.
All right, good. Is it rainy?
No.
Like lately, not today. Obviously, it's sunny.
No, it hasn't really lately.
Are you near the shore? Do you get to get out to that ocean a lot?
No, more north.
Oh, okay. So you got, what's the temperatures like?
Right now, I can just look at the weather app that I have.
Yeah, because it's in the high 90s
it's in the
here.
70s.
Oh, so jealous.
Oh, that's nice.
That's perfect weather. Josie, what's your weather like?
It is 75. It's 75 right now. It's pretty great
Wow.
right now. Yeah.
I'm at a 94
It's-
with a heat index of, I think, 8. So it would be 102. It feels like 102 right now.
That's gross.
Anyway, Loki,
Yeah.
it looks like you're saying you are pro-immigration and pro-life. Did you listen to the last call by chance?
Yeah, we can go with the situation. I would just say when it comes to the local level taxation, we can look at California and New York. This is going to be something where like the taxation from Americans are actively paying for housing, food, and other situations. We could look at soup kitchens and other things that they're benefiting from.
Wait, so that's
Are
on
you-
the immigration end, but
immigration?
you want to take a tax direction on it, knowing that also California and New York are paying for the like welfare states of Mississippi.
Yep,
Mhm.
I have no problem with this. When it comes to the situation applicable, we do not have something called the causal obligation to illegal immigrants. And at the same time, if you want a source where it comes to them being able to get Medicaid for someone that is actively pregnant in these states, I can give you a source. 1 second.
So what? No,
It's
I don't
gonna
need a
be-
source. What would you prefer happens to a person who is here legally or illegally? No, well, we'll just go with illegally.
Illegally,
If
yeah,
a person is
illegally,
here
we don't-
and is pregnant, what do you hope happens to them?
Yeah, deport them if we don't have a causal obligation if they're an illegal immigrant.
That sounds awful.
That's
Yeah.
going to be an emotional argument. I don't care.
I don't think you have a non-emotional argument for why you would deport them.
Yeah.
There's still
Yeah,
a
I'm
part.
gonna
There's
say that we
still
go off of the NAP.
there's still an active and robust part of a greater community of people who are dramatically
That doesn't matter.
benefiting American economy. And so to like go out and pull out the pieces of them actually diminishes and takes away from that culture of people and puts us at risk at having hostility toward us. It's good to keep our allies close and be nice to them. It's also very
I
humanist,
disagree.
Loki.
If someone does something immoral, we should remove them. So
What's
when it comes to
immoral?
them
What did they do
infringing upon-
immoral?
What's immoral?
What did they do that was
I got
immoral?
you. So I'm going to be using the NAP. Do you guys know what the NAP is?
Well, when you use abbreviations, why don't you give us the full name? But
Yeah,
also,
the non-aggression principle.
okay. So what did the pregnant woman do that was immoral?
Yeah, with her being an illegal immigrant, she's infringing upon private property. When we talk about the United States, I'm going to count this as private property. Anyone from other countries can
Wait.
can't
You
just
just
do
said
that.
I'm going to count this as private property. I'm
Yeah.
not. So Loki, where are we at now? I'm not going to count America
It's
as
public.
private property.
So wait, I got you. So do you believe it's okay for extremist groups members to come over to the United States?
What do you mean
That's
by
a
an
completely
extremist
different
group?
question.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, okay, let's just
Depending
talk
on the
about-
extreme.
yeah,
Excuse
let's
me,
talk
Loki.
about
Hang
the
on.
extremist
Hang on,
group
Loki.
that caused September.
Loki. Hang on. I am a part of. I'm a socialist. People consider me extremist. I of course think that extremist groups, as long as they are following the principle, like we have laws against violence. We have laws against, as long as they're following the laws against violence, and we're not talking about just mere civil violations, but even then, we're not even necessarily talking about a moral argument. We're talking about, of course, I would deport an immigrant who was here illegally or legally if they committed the same level of crime. So you just using the vague term extremist tells me nothing. Atheists used to be considered extremists.
So you said that you wouldn't count the United States as private property. Okay, we can get into that situation. But let's first get this out of the way. Are you going to appeal to legality across the board, or are you going to use your moral arguments for the situation?
Sir,
if you want to use
or
legality.
Zer. So what, Loki? I'll just go with Loki. Loki, you were the one who made a moral argument. You said
Yeah,
if they
so I'm gonna
do
use
something,
morals
excuse
instead of
me,
legal.
wait a moment. You said immoral. By the way, many immoral things aren't illegal. And we don't punish people for having a different morality. We only punish people for whether or not they are breaking the laws. And then we have different levels of crimes and different levels of punishments. Crossing the border is a civil violation. Deporting is a very, very big response to a mere civil violation.
Yeah, I disagree.
All right.
Okay, well, you're
Okay.
wrong. If we did things your way,
yeah,
our
it's
economy
30,
would
I'm
collapse.
wrong. Okay, cool.
If you're wrong,
So when
because
we talk about-
excuse me,
you-
Loki, Jesus Christ, Loki, you are really, you just have to, I know you have a script, you have the things you want to say, but you got to let us finish here. You are wrong, Loki, on the basis of if we did things your way, our country would suffer dramatically on the economic level, so we can just point to like numbers, we can make a totally statistical argument, and then on the moral argument, we'd be anti-humanist monsters.
Oh, okay, let's go with the morals here because I don't care about the legal, because if the law was immoral, I wouldn't abide by it. So if we're going with
Of course you would. You have to abide by you have to abide
the law
by it.
says that, wait, hold up a second. So if the law says I have to own another person, would you say that this law is
It doesn't
moral
say
or
that.
immoral?
I would say that
Oh, did
That's
it
a
not used to?
hypothetical.
right.
Wait, did it not used to in the United States? So if
Correct.
we're talking about laws,
Actually,
it will show that
Loki,
laws have
Loki,
been immoral.
Loki, you are correct that the law never said you must own another person, and we
Oh,
never,
okay.
Right.
So
we
owning
never
another person's
equated
okay,
Loki.
so if we're talking about this.
Loki, we never equated that either. You said you wouldn't abide by it. If you believe that owning another person isn't okay and slavery is the law of the land, to not own a slave isn't violating the slavery law. You would actually be in a good moral
position. We should
position.
abolish this law? Do you believe
Of
that we
course.
should abolish that
Abolish
law, though?
slavery,
Of
yes.
course.
And we
Okay,
live in a
cool.
country where we can
Hold
adapt
up a
things,
second.
and we have to defend why we would adapt those things.
Okay. So if we're talking about this situation, I don't care
Mhm.
about the legal aspect. I only care about the
Mhm.
morals. As
Right.
a libertarian that agrees with MAGA, I go off of the NAP, the non-aggression principle.
You're not really a
someone's
libertarian if you
infringing
agree with
upon-
MAGA. That's
Yes, I am.
crazy. That's crazy talk.
Yeah,
MAGA believes in a
yeah, I
much
know.
bigger. MAGA believes in
Yeah,
a
I'm
much
gonna be
bigger
a
government.
minimalist.
MAGA believes in a much
Wait.
bigger government than the Democrats do.
Yeah, and I'm
Kamala
gonna
Harris
explain
would have
to
been
you
a
that I'm
much
a
smaller
minimalist.
government, and
Yeah, I
libertarians like a true libertarian would not have these crazy ideas of
Then you
over
should know what
enforcing.
the NAP
Libertarians.
is, because if we're talking this
There is no NAP. You keep on saying non-aggression principle like it's an
Non-aggression
actual
principle
thing
is
when
gonna be
it's
the
not actually.
foundation.
Are you going to talk about philosophy or are you going to talk about the actual
Yeah,
policies?
philosophy
Because
here.
right now you keep
Yeah,
on using
philosophy.
you keep using this dialogue tree when we're trying to ask you specific questions. You're just going off on like, oh, but the NAP and all. We're trying to have an actual conversation with you. You're not, unless
Yeah,
you're
the actual
effing out AI. Are
The
you just
actual
trying to use this
conversation-
dialogue tree over and over?
Loki, what I like is
Yeah,
that you have successfully brought the left and the right together because both of us hope that you never represent our team.
Oh, okay, cool. So when we talk about the
It is
non-aggression principle, what causal obligation do I have to an illegal immigrant?
Well,
Uh-huh.
look, your causal obligation is the fact that we all follow due process in this country. And the fact that we are not allowing due process to happen, which is the law of the land of this country, where people can literally be ripped from
Laws
the
can be
arms of their
immoral.
families and thrown up. You're not even going to listen, are you? Like, I'm literally answering
Laws
your
can be
question
immoral.
about causal obligation, and the causal
Define
obligation
causal
is
obligation.
the fact.
Define causal
See,
obligation.
this is
So
what
my
your
God,
game
Loki,
is.
Loki,
You're the
you
one-
are horrible
this
at
is
this.
ridiculous.
You are the most
Yeah.
you are somehow worse than George. You can't have an honest conversation. You think that you have all of these gotchas. I used to be a libertarian. You are the worst
Yeah, I
libertarian.
disagree.
You
If
aren't
you're a
even
socialist, I would
you
just
are
say you've
not a
never been
libertarian. Excuse me, what?
Yes, I am.
No,
One of
you
the
aren't.
biggest people I read when it comes to philosophy is going to be John Locke. Do you know who this is?
I do know who John Locke
do,
is,
and I
and I
read
think you
John Locke.
cosplay. And I think you
You should've known what the
cosplay
NAP
Ayn
is.
Rand. I think you're a ridiculous person,
Okay, so
and
then you
nobody
should've
wants
known
you
what
on
the
their
NAP
side.
was.
Okay, yeah. Who cares
Oh.
who's talking or whatever?
Okay.
You didn't know
It's like-
which
it's
with
like
the. I'm more
the
convinced
Jordan
that you're
Peterson way
familiar
of
with
doing
that
things.
the NAMBLA than I am the NAP. I think that's
Right.
that would be an easier
Yeah,
sell for
so
you.
can
Tell
you
me what
actually
you
give me
mean.
argument-
I believe.
Can you actually give me arguments? You haven't made a good argument here, and you've just tried to resort to super dishonest debate tactics like you're good at this. Loki, you're terrible at it.
Yeah.
You're really bad at
And the-
conversation. If we did it as a formal debate, it would still be easy. Like either
It
way,
would be.
you just are an unpleasant person. And to say that you're pro MAGA, while apparently again, let's move on to because you're not gonna quit being strange about immigration. Loki, how can you support MAGA? Do you feel MAGA supports you being a trans person? We'll unmute you there.
Yeah. There.
Yeah, I support MAGA when it comes to the ICE situations where we do not have a causal obligation to illegal immigrants.
Yeah, but
We have not
right. You
caused
can
them to be
repeat
in
the things you are
independent.
wrong about. It's not going to help at all. How about Loki? You
You haven't engaged with my argument.
Loki, you haven't engaged
haven't
in
let us.
conversation yet.
Argument.
You haven't engaged in conversation yet. You've just, every time somebody answers you directly, you start to try and hone in on specific words and you try to Kellyanne Conway yourself out of it. You're terrible at it. I would love to hear before, if you're not interested, then going there, then I'm not interested in continuing with such a dishonest interlocutor. Loki, how do you feel about MAGA's approach to your trans identity?
Oh, my trans identity? I have no problem with this. I do
You
not
have no
believe
problem
that
with how they-
Yep.
You have no
So
problem
when it
with how
comes
they
to
treat trans
women
people?
or trans men, I do not believe that they should go into the opposite sex that was not given to them at birth. I find this immoral because you're.
What
giving
about
someone
you?
else's
Where do you
private
go?
property.
Why do you use
Where do
their
you go?
pronouns?
Yeah, I go in the male's restroom.
Why do you use their pronouns?
So I use easier just to be a wonderful person, just to piss people off.
So you aren't actually
So you don't
trans, you're just
actually-
taking
you're
the
not
old
a
pronouns for
trans.
fun?
You're
Yeah, I just use it
appropriating?
for
That's
fun because
immoral.
Yep, 100%.
Okay. Well, Loki, I wish the best for you in the future, but I got to tell you,
What causal law?
no, I can tell you this though.
No.
I think that 12 minutes is enough that even me as a non-expert, I think I can confidently diagnose you as a sociopath. Anyway, have fun, Loki. Bye. Only
fun.
caring about
Bye.
yourself and sitting around and sniffing your own farts and I assume licking it. And it's just like, you're really into yourself.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy. I love how
really into it.
I get accused of arrogance on this channel, and yet we engage with somebody like Loki. Loki, you are a waste of time of anybody who wants to have an actual honest conversation. And I wish there was a way to clone you into AI and try to get you to have a conversation about just like, what's the best kind of sandwich with yourself so you could be exposed to how unpleasant a person you are and how impossible you are to have an honest conversation with. Bye, Loki. I hope you and George get married. Bye.
Oh my
Loki's like,
gosh, that was like a well actually like on steroids. Like
do you
that
know what
was
the NAP is? Do you know what these letters, these specific abbreviations that I want to use for my argument? Because I've been reading way too much John Locke and I've been sniffing too much of my own farts. Do you know what this specific abbreviation, notwithstanding the fact that you both work in political worlds where NAP actually also could mean other things? Do you know what? Do you know in this, apropos of nothing, if I just say NAP right now, do you automatically know which letters I'm using? Okay, now define causal. Like, oh, my goodness.
It's like, what do you mean by cause? It's like, what do you mean by believe? Like, it's just like going down the Jordan Peterson route. Like, what do you mean by causal?
I don't know how you can say you're not trans when you're clearly trying to be Kellyanne Conway all day long there. What was her name again?
Oh my God.
What was their
It's
name
like
again?
Loki.
Loki. Yeah. Loki,
Yeah,
you suck
yeah.
at this. Oh.
Yeah.
All right, let's try Gary.
Let's-
Gary in
let's try
Virginia.
Gary.
Hello.
Gary, I think I have
How
good
y'all doing?
I have good feelings. Gary, you and I think can agree that Loki, you don't want Loki representing your team either, I assume.
Man, I've had to suffer through two of y'all's conversation with these guys. They're conservative apparently, but they're not good at arguing our side very well.
Well, libertarian, I mean, Loki doesn't seem to know what a libertarian is because libertarian could, I don't know how a libertarian could enthusiastically vote for Democrat or Republican. There is some kind of sound.
Well,
it sounds like you're shaking like a measuring tape around. Can we get rid of that? That's killing me.
I'm sorry. No, yeah, I'm getting rid of it. It's my dog. She needs to go out. I'm just going to the door. I can still talk to you.
Gotcha.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay.
We're
How's
good.
the weather in Virginia?
It's a husky.
Oh, I
it's
love a
awesome,
husky.
man. It's beautiful.
Aw.
I have a
Upper
half.
70s, cooling off.
I'm about to blow your mind.
Yeah.
My dog is half husky, half Chihuahua.
Oh, how does that happen?
The worst part is,
Yeah, I know.
I found
I
out
asked
from
the
a
same
DNA
question.
test, the mother was the Chihuahua. That's the worst part.
Oh my goodness. I don't know how she survived that.
I don't either. I don't like to think about it too long. All right, Gary.
Oh, well.
Books aren't being banned. That's your contention here. Is that what do you want to share in regards to that?
What was that about VZM? What was that? I didn't catch that part.
No. You said books
No.
aren't being banned. Is what I have in the notes that was what you wanted to talk about. Go for it.
Oh, books being banned. Oh, yeah, gotcha. Well, I heard just a very few seconds of that conversation before I called in. But I just kind of want to make a point with you guys I've kind of thought about before. And you might think it's a little strange approach, but bear with me.
Mhm.
the book banning in the United States, I assume you're talking about Florida. That would be your most ready example, I'm sure.
There have been nationwide book bans, but Florida's the one most in the
Maryland
news.
is dealing stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
no,
Maryland's
I
dealing
don't
with
mean
stuff with the
nationwide. I don't
Mahmoud
mean
case.
nationwide. I'm just saying, yeah, I don't mean nationwide. I'm just meaning happening here in the U.S. I assume you're pointing to Florida.
No, I'm in
let me ask you a
Texas, so I would
question.
point to Texas usually.
And I would point to Maryland.
Okay,
I live in Maryland.
Well, point to what state you want. Point to what state you want.
Texas.
Let's just take Florida. Let's talk about Florida if we want to use an example.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Name one book.
Go ahead.
Name one book that was banned in Florida.
I can find you titles if
Genderqueer.
you like. I can't name 5 books I have in my house, but I have dozens. I'm not good at titles. But yeah, okay, genderqueer was one.
Right.
Yeah.
Be honest, I can't name any of them. But the point I'm trying to make is here, no books were banned. Okay? No books were banned. These were books that they were found to be objectionable to school-age children and were removed from circulation from schools and school libraries and the such. An adult can go to your bookstore, go to Barnes & Noble, and buy those same books and take it to your home. They haven't been banned.
But that's
You
never
can buy
been
it on Amazon
Gary.
and have it delivered.
Gary, saying
Right.
when we're talking about bans, we are talking about publicly accessed things. And so a person on the basis of
Publicly
their
accessed
beliefs, banned for children books. Obviously, Senator Kennedy wants to only talk about the "I can't wait to have your cock in my mouth," that thing he loves to read out for some reason. That
And it's a book that was in circulation. in
Sure.
our schools.
And if you want to have a conversation specifically about sexually explicit books, that is separate from the broad ban of anything that mentions like sex education, queer identities, people just having a gay boyfriend. And by the way, there are still sexually explicit books that have heterosexual sex in children's libraries K through 12. And my point would be,
I'm going to tell you my position right now.
Go ahead.
Even heterosexual books. This ain't a gay, straight, trans, nothing with me. Even heterosexual does not belong in children's schools. I'm sorry. It doesn't.
And what do you define
And
as
you
a
mentioned
children's
the book.
school?
You
K
mentioned the
through
book.
12, or you mean
Well,
K through 5th
K
grade?
through
What do you
12.
mean?
K through 12.
So
Well,
you
here's
think
the
that
thing,
a
bud.
10th hang
here's
on.
our approach on it.
Gary, hang
Hold
on.
on.
Okay.
We were
I
starting
want to
off
hone in
so
on what
well.
you're saying.
We didn't turn the
You
energy
believe that
down.
a 10th grader whose parents can monitor what they're reading, in most states you've got online portals, you can see, you as the parent have responsibility, shouldn't have access to a book which contains any sexuality, a fiction book, like anything like if there's a couple of wizards, they go out and fight, and this part, I liked the Forgotten Realms books. They're in the like Magic the Gathering world, or Magic the Gathering, the Dungeons and Dragons world. I liked those books when I was a kid, and every now and then a dude fucked a girl. It was usually like a human fucked an elf girl. And they weren't super descriptive, but it was a little bit, as the clothes are coming off. And boy, I liked it. But I was reading those in 10th, 11th grade. My parents saw the books on the shelf. They weren't reading themselves.
Real quick, I'm not trying to cut
Real
you
quick,
off, but can I make a point to that?
I'm getting to the question. Would you say that I, as a 10th grader, shouldn't have had access to that book, even though my parents have the means to monitor what I'm reading and prohibit me on whatever basis they like?
Here's my thing. You want to bring up Magic the Gathering, different things like that. Me as a parent, okay, I raise my kids pretty strict. You'd probably think I'm insane if you knew how I raise my kids, but as a parent, I wouldn't let my kids read that.
Sure.
Now,
No, Gary, great.
The thing of it is,
Sure,
but does that mean that the school has
to? I listen to you. Listen,
Gary,
guys,
I just wanted to specify.
I just
Gary,
listened to you talk to two
Gary,
different guests
Gary,
on your show.
Gary,
where you
chill.
talked over them nonstop.
Gary,
Two different guests on your show.
Gary,
you have talked over them nonstop.
Gary,
Can I make a point?
Gary, hang on a second, and I'm going to explain this back to you.
You
and
are
I'm not
the most typical
Gary.
libs there are.
Gary,
dude.
I'm not a
Try
liberal.
to shove your bullshit down.
Okay, Gary, I'm going to mute you to explain this to you. I promise you don't need to be reacting this way. All I was asking was a clarifying question about what you just said, because it would have been important and informed it. Gary, I'm not here saying you're not going to get to make your point. By the way, the two people you're talking about, you agreed at the beginning were insufferable. Now you're trying to shift it for your purpose. All I wanted was to ask the clarifying question when you said, I wouldn't let my kids and therefore is what you would let your kids read, what the schools should decide they should be able to read, or should the parents take that responsibility? And then he would have go on and make your point. But Gary, I've been doing this for years. I also know how to make sure that your points are being made as well as they can be for the efficiency of the conversation. So if you're going to continue and yell and not understand that this is a conversation where I have experience here, there's a reason why we add these clarifying points. They actually help you. If you're going to have the conversation in earnest and honesty, we can do that. If it's going to be yelling and everything else, I have no interest. So Gary, I'm going to unmute you now. Please make your point after answering the clarifying question about whether or not what you're describing as you wouldn't allow should mean the school doesn't. You'll hear the beep.
I was trying to answer your question.
Great. Can we take the voice down? Do we need to yell? Can we come down to a right back conversation level?
Are you going to let me talk?
Of course I am, Gary. I just told you I would let you talk.
Wow, dudes. Literally, I sat here for a half hour on hold waiting for you guys.
Great.
The
Thank
whole
you.
time,
Great.
marveling
We're
at
ready
how
for
you
your
just
point.
trampled their conversations and every point they
So,
come
Gary,
with,
we're waiting for your
Gary,
point.
to be clear,
We're
you don't want to
waiting for
make your
your
point. You now want to complain after all that explanation. Gary, I think you might be too emotional to have this conversation.
Well, no, here's what makes things emotional, sirs.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing.
Okay.
Here's the thing. As a parent, I
Sure.
am tasked raising my child the way I see fit
Agreed.
from the age 0 to 18.
Agreed.
Okay?
Yep.
Now, I want to make a point here.
Mm-hmm.
That one book you mentioned, I forget the name, but it talked about, cough this and cough that. Now, tell me if I'm not wrong. Tell me if I'm not wrong here, sir.
Yeah.
If a little boy or girl is walking down the street
Mm-hmm.
and some pervert comes walking up to them and starts talking that same stuff, they be arrested,
Sure.
tried for
Sure.
So having that in our schools is appropriate.
Having that in a publicly accessible library, if a different parent has a different opinion than you, is appropriate because, like you said, hang on, it is your responsibility. And by the way, it's easy to point to the cock one. You haven't pointed to how in Escambia County they banned the Diary of Anne Frank.
For a
The
kite
Diary
runner.
of Anne Frank.
Yes.
Who banned the Diary of Anne? I wouldn't agree with
Escambia
that.
County. They also banned Black Panther
Then
comics.
That's stupid.
They also
That's
banned
stupid.
Black Panther comics
Yeah.
and
Banning
the
Anne Frank is
autobiography of Malcolm X. But here's the other point,
And
Gary.
kite runner.
So Gary, you're saying if there's cock in the mouth, that shouldn't be in the library. If it's that explicit, it shouldn't be in the school library.
Well,
Gary, let's say I agree with you.
Point quick I tried to make earlier.
Yeah, go ahead.
I tried to make the point. Hang on, time out.
Go ahead,
Time
go
out.
ahead,
Let me
go
make
ahead.
a point here.
I am. Go ahead.
These books have not been banned from circulation.
Okay.
If you, as a parent, think it's okay for your child to read that disgusting book,
Mm-hmm.
you are more than able, willing, and whatever to go buy it and have it for your child.
Mm-hmm. What about a public library? What's stopping a child from, if a child really wants to read that against their parents'
Then
wishes?
a public library, if those kind of books are in a public library, I would think if it was up to me,
Mhm.
they would be flagged as not for children. They wouldn't be in a children's section.
So
and
you
they
would have a
wouldn't be allowed
person
to be rented
present
out
their
to
ID in a library
Well-
like they're going to an R-rated movie?
Wow, dude.
No, I'm
You
asking.
have to
That's
show
my
your
question.
ID to fart in this
Gary, we're
country.
asking
you
a
have
question.
to show your ID to fart in this country, man.
Well, that's
And
clearly
it's
not.
pretty
Wait,
obvious.
wait,
No, we
Gary,
If I'm not
Gary,
mistaken, most public libraries have kids accounts and adults accounts. So I'm pretty sure it's not hard to tell if you're renting to a kid or not.
Gary. First of all, it is
It's
hard to
kind
tell.
of a ridiculous example.
All right, Gary, may I now speak? Because I've been trying to
Sure,
get in
go
here.
for it.
Great,
Yeah.
Gary. Gary, first of all, it actually is hard to tell whether it's a child or not when you said K through 12. There are 10th graders who look older than me. I'm 35. Second of all, if your
But
point
their
was so
ID shows
strong,
differently.
first of all, if your point was so strong about IDs, I think it's weird when conservatives start talking about adding ID to more places because we're supposed to be against the concept of a police state where you have to show your papers to justify not just that you're allowed to be there, but what you're doing. So
Now
adding
you're
more
talking
of
about
those.
voter ID, right?
No, I'm literally not. That was actually more to do with immigration, the show your papers. We can talk about voter ID after all this, but I wasn't. Just in general, the concept of
actually, I
adding
ain't got a whole lot
ID.
of time. I wanted to talk about the book thing, but I mean,
Sure. So let's stick.
I mean,
Allow me to finish, please. Adding the ID there, that isn't the way it is, and we're talking about whether a person's sensibilities should apply. And you've already agreed. Even if I say, look, okay, fine, something with that level of, if it's basically a pornographic book, maybe we don't put it in the elementary school thing. When it gets a little bit older, to tell you the truth, we're going to have to be much more careful about what we define as pornographic, because I don't think if a 15-year-old can go see a PG-13 movie, I don't think a lot of books are written worse than that. But is there potentially a limit where you'd say put it in the school? Maybe, but I'm honestly not that worried, because again, the parents should be the one monitoring what books they're taking out. But again, we even have
and how can we do that if you're putting them in front of their face in other places?
You're describing it as putting them in front of your face.
Parents to monitor, if it's up to parents to monitor, it is up to them to go out of their way to expose them to it, not you.
Sure, so it's on the shelf. So the book's on the shelf.
We don't like. People are telling us how we should be raising our kids.
No, I'm not. I'm literally not.
I'm letting the conversation with a point.
Putting the book
I'm letting the conversation with a point.
Putting the book on the shelf is not putting it in front of their face. Forcing them to read something. Wow. By the way, in this country, sex ed usually has opt-in forms in general, regular sex ed that we should be giving all kids, because we already know the attachment to, if you don't have the vocabulary to describe these things, the younger you are, the more likely you are to get abused, because you don't even know these things that are happening to you are wrong. That abuse actually goes down by introducing kids to sex ed early, not babies or anything, but as early as is okay to do so. So there are lots of good reasons to, but we're describing a shelf, and you're saying it's the same thing as putting it in front of their faces. And I think you're being extremely hyperbolic, as I think you've done many times, and why I think your argument falls apart, because it relies on hyperbole.
Answer me a question.
Go ahead.
Is it in a place that is there for the intent of children?
All libraries are. Libraries, every public library. Yes, a public library.
Public libraries are for grown-ups and kids. That's dumb, dude. Come on.
They are for both. You are correct.
For children and adults and everyone else.
They're for both.
Yes.
They're there for kids.
Yeah, that's a library.
And again, if I, as a parent, am okay with introducing my kid to a book with higher, more adult, by the time I was in 5th grade, I was reading at college level. So already there's going to be a limitation to what I can read, because older books will have older themes that, again, people are banning. And you've already agreed they're going crazy with the bans. They're banning autobiographies of Malcolm X and Sherlock Holmes books.
I know one thing for sure.
Okay.
I know one thing for sure.
Okay.
I can tell you right now, I don't think that the Bible and Christian things and Bible study and prayer, I don't think all that should be in public schools.
Good. I mean, I don't care if people pray. Not mandated by the school.
That belongs in public schools.
Not mandated by the school, but I don't care if there's
choose to pray in school. I don't have a problem with that. That's up to that.
And if students want to make a Bible club, I don't care if they have a Bible club that's voluntary for them. All that stuff.
That's cool.
Yeah. I don't care about it.
I'm talking about teaching to them.
Yeah.
And it's not just the books. You have to admit this trans ideology and everything else is being taught to our kids in school, not just at the books that we're talking about.
Do you not
know that
trans identity exists?
I'm trying to make a very big point here.
Okay, for the record, I don't accept the thing you just said I had to accept, by the way. I just want to make sure you know that.
Yeah.
What was that?
I don't accept the thing you said I have to accept. First of all, I don't accept the phrase trans ideology.
You have to accept.
I don't accept.
You have to accept
that trans ideology is being. That you just said that I have to accept that trans ideology is being put in front of them all over these places.
It is.
I don't agree.
It is.
First of all,
it's in the news all over the place.
First of all, I reject the phrase.
Kids getting in trouble. There's kids getting in trouble if they don't use their
calm
pronouns.
Down.
Gary,
I'm completely calm.
Gary, if I call you Fuckface McGee instead of Gary in a workplace, or if we were in school together, I would get in trouble for disrespecting you. That's nothing to do with a trans ideology. That has to do with bullying. So if by the way,
Yeah.
Gary, let's say no trans people
Wow.
existed. Gary, let's say no trans people existed. Would I or wouldn't I get in trouble for bullying if you and I were in school together and I exclusively used she, her pronouns for you and you were a guy? You are a he, him. And every time you said something like, oh, everybody, she's talking, listen up. Listen to her.
Wow.
Would I
You
or
know
would I
what?
not?
I'm
No,
getting
no,
off here
don't
now.
wow. Just answer the
You
question.
know what? I'm leaving you with this. You guys,
Gary, answer
you
the question.
libs are
Answer
the
the
most
question.
insane
Gary, I'm not a
motherfuckers
liberal.
in this world. And you know
Gary.
what? You guys don't
Gary,
do anything
no,
to make
Gary,
them look
Gary,
better.
Gary,
You just breathe.
Gary. The reason why,
Yeah.
Gary, the reason why I'm muting you is because you
Yes.
decided you weren't going to listen
hung up.
anymore. Oh, he hung up, and you were just going to
He
yell
hung
over.
up. It's
I'm
so
not a liberal.
emotional. And he's like,
You can't
Yeah,
control
it's
your
like-
emotions. You can't have a logic or reason based
Yeah.
thing. When I asked you about the bullying, rather than answer in good faith, you couldn't simply say, yes, I would be considered a bully if I called by the way, that's literally a type of bullying people do. I didn't bring that. Cis people there are more cis people in total numbers. I don't know about percentage, but in total numbers, more cis people, not trans people, are bullied with the wrong pronouns, with saying you're a girl when you're not. I grew up and was socialized as a man. I was born a male as well. Not that it's anybody's business, but I know what it's like there be a spectrum of how much of a man are you? The gender spectrum was invented by insecure cis men before anybody else, because I can be I can be more manly than somebody else. And you yelling and
People
saying, I'm going to
called
leave
me
you
a
with this and not
woman
hear
so
anything.
much.
There's no point. Go ahead. Sorry.
People used to call me a woman in school all the time. You're such a girl. You're so
Right.
weak. You're so blah, blah. And then when I'm like, hey, actually, I am a girl.
Turned out.
Everybody's like, what? You're a man. You're a man. How dare you? It's just like it's so funny how that turns on a dime. And like when he's sitting there saying, oh, you guys are just out of control. It's like we're literally just like saying small sentences, and he's literally blowing a gasket. Like we're
Right.
just like. That was wild.
You weren't,
That
Gary, I would like you to you weren't as bad as George, but I'd like you to go back and just watch your call and see whether or not you think you engaged honestly, or whether or not you were in fact the one who talked over. You never listened. Whether or not you just engaged. How was the question about whether the pronouns thing is trans ideology or just bullying in any way dishonest? And why couldn't you answer it? Why did you have to resort to wow and then rage quit after saying, I'm going to say this thing that's objectively wrong? I think liberals are ridiculous. I think they're quite dumb. I am not a liberal. I understand that I'm here with a person who's running as a Democrat. Josie loves liberals. Go vote for Josie.
I'm a leftist.
Right. But you love the liberals that at least will vote for you. Josie loves liberals. I do not. I think that liberalism is to look at a gushing wound and to go, I'll put a Band-Aid on that. Now, I think conservatism is, you know what'll help? Opening the wound and bleeding it out more. And I don't think liberals want credit for buying the Band-Aid, right? And conservatives want to just kill anything that's weak. And it's like, well, I don't have a cut on my leg, so why the fuck would I care about that person's cut? I'm a leftist because I want to sew the goddamn thing shut. All right, like that's the difference.
And apparently the chat is saying that he was misgendering me a bunch as well, which I think I did catch. And I was just like, this guy is so triggered. Like the triggers that came off of this man, it was pretty fantastic to watch.
We're going to have a lot of trans hosts on this show, and I got to let you people know, if you're calling in thinking misgendering any of the people we have on this show is going to work with these, it doesn't. No one here cares. Did you watch Lux's show the other day with the guy when he was melting down, when Lux started talking about, who is this female?
Yeah.
It's like,
I remember that.
you're calling the wrong trans people. Like, it's just not going to work here.
No. We eat people like Gary for lunch.
Transphobes.
Like it's not even.
It's boring. It's like I'm queer. Do you think
boring.
the F slur does anything to me now? Like it's nothing. All right, let's talk to Norm in New York. Norm in New York, you're on the line, and I'd love to know. Norm, you're on the line with Jimmy and Josie. How's that weather in New York? Are you near the city or are you upstate?
I'm in upstate New York, close to Canada.
Oh yeah, no worries. My family, we're all from Long Island, the Levittown area.
I grew up on Long Island. I moved from Long Island to going into 6th grade. So that's when we moved upstate.
You want to
But
hear
I
something?
lived in Suffolk County, Holtzville.
Oh, nice.
Very
Yeah.
close to Levittown.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, for sure. You want to hear something whack about Levittown? I bet you didn't know, and I bet you'll disagree with. You'll think is wrong. Did you know it's still in the city code? It's illegal to enforce, but it's still in the city code that if you're black, you can't buy property in Levittown. Isn't that wild?
But I mean, that's not something that they would have.
They did enforce it for a long time, but it has become illegal, so they don't enforce it. So now it's kind of like if you go and you look at, there are some old laws that just technically never got taken away from a lot of places. So it's there. It's just not at all enforceable. Nobody's really fighting for it. It's just kind of, nobody's put in the effort to remove it from the city code yet.
Yeah, I've never heard anything about that.
Yeah, it's rough. And so I grew up in a family that like idolized that Levittown, this great Bill O'Reilly's from there too. He's like, and Levittown's one of those great American, from its inception, there's just something about it that made it extra good. And it turns out, yeah, you like that
really
it was
nice.
whites only. What's that?
The mall was really nice.
Yeah,
the mall in Levittown was really
Levittown
nice.
has a nice law. Yeah, nice mall. Yeah, that's true. That's true. All right, Norm. You're here to say that Trump exposed real racism. What is the real racism?
Well, one of the aspects that he's exposed is the racism of low expectations.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean?
Well,
It's a Bill Maher thing I've heard
day-
from Bill Maher a
What's
lot,
that?
so I don't know if he. Bill Maher's had
You
this.
know-
It's been a popular Bill Maher phrase for over 2 decades. But go on, yeah.
Oh, well, I'm definitely not a
Go
Bill
on,
Maher
explain
fan.
it.
I mean, he says some good stuff, but I definitely I still know that he would
So
vote
what
against
is
Trump
the
no matter what.
racism
That's
of
just
low
Bill Maher.
expectations?
I can
Well,
explain it
so
or
tell
Norm,
me
either way.
what the
Yeah,
I can give you a perfect
Norm,
example of it.
explain it to me.
Yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah, so it's basically saying that a certain person can't think a certain way, or they're not smart enough to think a certain way, or
And who's
why
doing
would
that?
they think that way if they're? Well, it's obviously the Democrats been doing it. So,
Is that true? So when did
Is it?
Democrats
What's
do it? I'm not a Democrat, so I'm interested
No,
for
I'm
you
not
to
saying.
expose
I
to
never
me who
said that
did.
you were. I think you said
Yeah.
you're a socialist. That's very interesting.
Yep, very.
Well, no,
Yeah,
but I can give you an example
Norm,
of it.
Give me an example, please. I'm
That's what I'm
ready for
excited for
this.
it.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. I'll give you a perfect example of it. Because when I
Mhm.
called in the other night and I was explaining the reason why people have, TDS, Trump derangement syndrome, is
Mhm.
because they hating
Are you
on
talking
Trump
about
because
the Trump?
there's something.
So you're
You gotta
talking
let me
about the
talk.
people who are
I'll
like
explain to you in
deranged
2
for
seconds if
Trump.
you let
I'm
me
sorry.
talk.
Sorry. I apologize.
I'll explain in 2
I
seconds.
cut
I
you
promise
off.
you I will.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
it's no
I know.
problem.
It was my
So,
fault. Go ahead.
for instance, like, if a person's like hating on something, they're
Mhm.
really hating on it because it reflects on something that they hate upon themselves.
Oh, I remember you saying that.
I said, what I said was that you can't love or hate something about another person unless it mirrors or reflects to you something that you either love or hate about yourself.
Yeah, I remember
And then you
how
said,
ironic
wow.
that was too. Yeah.
Well, but no, what I thought was ironic was when you said, "Well, wow, I can't believe you're reciting something from a brown person." I think that was Deepak Chopra. But you said, "Wow, I'm really shocked that you're saying something from a brown person."
I remember I said the
So
brown
at that
person
point-
part, but yeah, definitely. It was more of that it has the Chopra-esque
But
sound
then
to
you're
it.
assuming that
Excuse
someone-
me,
that-
Norm. More it had to do with that it sounded very Chopra-esque in this like new age spirituality thing.
I don't know if it is or if
And
I
then the
don't know if
joke
it is
being
or
that
it
you're a
is his or
MAGA and
not.
therefore there's a built-in racism. So like of the alternative spirituality, why would you go with something that sounds so Chopra-esque? But
Well,
I think you'll
you
be
said
okay.
it.
I think you'll be okay with the
You said it.
I gotta
it
tell
doesn't
you,
bother me at all
it was
because
a little bit of a racially charged joke.
Racism
It's
of
cool
low
that it
expectations.
offended you.
That's exactly what it does.
No, well,
No,
the
it doesn't
racism.
offend me
This
at
is
all.
this is
No,
a very
no
this is
bearing
a
on it
very
at all.
strange. This is a very strange use of that term because usually when a person's trying to argue about the first of all, the original phrase is the bigotry of low expectations, and you apply it to racism or anything else. But anyway, usually it's like if I make the argument that poverty, the reason why black people commit a certain amount of crimes compared to white people in specific areas, that it actually has to do with poverty and that we track this across, then people will try to switch it to, oh, so you're saying that a black poor person is destined to commit crime and that's because you have low expectations of them, when in fact it isn't that point at all. It has to do with anybody of any race that would do poverty. That's usually how bigotry of low expectations comes about.
No, I don't think that's I don't think that's accurate. I think it's like saying like, well, how can this black person be MAGA and vote for Trump? Because like, why would he do that? Like, how can you possibly do that? Like, how can that person think for themselves and vote for themselves because they're black?
No, that isn't. Except that isn't the point. See, this is you actually straw manning what the actual point is, because the actual point is that Republicans across the board, Norm, vote against their own self-interest, but for certain categories of people, it is much more explicitly obvious. But I don't think, for example, excuse me, Norm, if I could finish, please. For example, when T calls in, excuse me, Norm. When T called in the other day, he was specifically repeating white supremacist talking points. I don't think he was more susceptible to them because he was black. I think it has other things to do with his personality. And we already know, like, some of the ways that people are more or less likely to vote one way or another has a lot to do with how isolated their circle of people they care about is. The smaller that group is, the more susceptible they are to conservatism versus leftism or liberalism, which, you know, we can at least all agree is gross. So Norm, it is important for you to make your point, that you phrase it. And this happened the other day when we talked. You phrase my position the way you want it to fit in to whatever this script is you have.
Decided to say that because you were shocked by that, because you thought, why would a white guy say this about a brown guy?
No, Norm, he was specific.
It was pretty shocking when it came. Although it just came out of your mouth.
Norm, when it came to the case of T, it was specifically that why was a black
other things you're saying are rehearsed, but that wasn't.
Norm, T. When it comes to T, the other day, it was specifically why was this brown person spouting white supremacist views and talking about those things. When it came to Deepak Chopra, I was making a joke that you're racist. Does that clear it up for you?
It's a perfect example of like reverse
racism.
Reverse racism.
Yeah, I think it's perfect. Right. A perfect example of it.
Oh man, I'm so racist against those whites.
You're assuming No, it's just something. You're making assumptions.
Yes, it was.
Making assumptions without getting to know the person.
It was an assumption.
You're also making.
Yeah, it was an assumption about based on the words you had said. It was an assumption based on those words.
But that's why you guys
not unsupported.
That's why you guys have all these problems. Don't you understand? That's why you have all these problems.
Oh, Norm,
you're focused on these.
Norm, I don't think Norm, I think you've actually proven so far.
2080 issues that nobody really cares about.
Norm, there we go.
You're hyper-focused on it.
Norm, there he goes again. Norm, I think you've already proven you can't articulate what problems I have or what problems I believe I have. Either one, nor do I think. Norm,
we clearly know that you have PDFs.
Yes, Norm. By the way, this was one of the things you did the other day. You can only hatefully assign these things if you have it true of yourself. This was part of that irony. You are from the cult of Trump. You are delusional when it comes to Trump.
You're just making assumptions again. You don't know anything about me, bro.
Norm,
really
I know that you can't let a person.
You don't want to.
Norm, I know that you can't. All right, so Norm,
you don't want to.
Norm, I have to hold your hand like a fucking baby and do the mute unmute thing again. Norm, you haven't let me get to a period in a sentence, let alone to a next sentence. Norm, you are sitting here trying to sort of like lecture on the basis of like, oh, you have these problems if you would only interact in these ways, but you can't sit on your hands and ever listen, while then sitting here and talking about you have to project the things which you are assigning to other people, that's the only way to do it, not noticing that you do it. That if you make that your central thesis, and then you accuse somebody else of Trump derangement syndrome, for example, in this case, what does that mean you have if it follows the thesis of what you are claiming here? And it's just very, very interesting that you don't notice the distinction. I will unmute you here in a moment, but would you like to point out, because this is the thing you told the screener was that Trump exposed real racism. And instead you're whining here that I made a joke that you are racist, which, by the way, before this call is over, I will probably do again. But Norm, what was the racism, and that I, a white person, am committing which, it's possible. I'm converting reverse racism against white people. What is the racism that Trump exposed? And now I will unmute you. But if you do the interrupt thing again, it's gonna happen again.
Oh, Trump was wonderful in exposing Obama and Big Mike. They came out onto the scene and they just They just were like the race baiting duo. It was amazing.
Trump was a race baiting. So what was it? What was something that Trump exposed Obama?
I'm older than you, and I grew up on Long Island before
Norm,
you were born.
Norm.
Okay?
This isn't how. Okay, Norm. Hey, Norm. All right, I'm gonna mute real quick. Before you make your next point there, Josie, would you ask me what my favorite color is?
What is your favorite color?
There is a house down the road that looks like it's made of a combination of like mud and like it's like a mud house. Now, would you ask me what my favorite animal is?
Answer the question.
Yeah, what is
your favorite animal?
The car that they drive by in the middle. Do you see how it's weird? Like when a person asks you a question, and then I just start talking about fucking something else completely. So
yeah, it's really frustrating and annoying.
I don't know how you being older than me, it should shame you that you're older than me and doing so poorly here. That should be a point of great shame. I don't know what that has to do with the answer to the question. What specific racism of Obama's, because your answer was Obama, he exposed Obama's racism. What did he specifically expose as Obama's race baiting? Go. The beep means you're unmuted.
He vilified the cops. He vilified the police.
When did Obama vilify the cops?
When he first came out onto the scene.
How? Give me the example of it.
Yeah.
He just there's numerous examples of
Great, so give me
Obama
one.
Directly vilifying the police.
Great, give me one.
Great. Yeah, there's many. So
many. It should be easy.
Yeah,
there is. There's so many different times.
Great, go ahead.
Want me to send you links?
No. Because it's so many, and this point is so solidified.
You
ready.
don't know about this?
You're ready.
You don't
know.
About
it's
this?
crazy that I'm so ignorant of it, and so clearly you have an example ready to go.
Yeah,
he vilified the police in Detroit. He vilified the police in Chicago.
How did he vilify the police in Detroit?
By directly calling out the police and saying that they were targeting black people and brown people.
What did he say?
Specifically targeting
What did he say? When did he say that?
I'm telling you, are you fucking listening?
Yes, I am. When did he say it?
Was that before the 1 billion or 2 billion that they gave the local polices, or after?
He said that they
was
were more likely.
Was that before the 3 billion?
If a brown or black person was more likely to be targeted by the police.
Wait. Now you've just moved the goalpost completely.
That's not true.
You said he called out the police in Detroit and said what?
In Chicago.
No, let's go with Detroit. Let's go with that. Okay.
Can you shut the fuck up?
Sir, Norm. Check this out, Norm. I think you need to look up the word irony for both calls, the one the other day and today. You right now are speaking in generalizations. You are not giving an example. You are further generalizing. So I'm actually trying to get enough info from you to look up an example because you don't actually have one. You're just broadly saying Trump called out. So I'm going to write it in here. When did Obama say about Detroit police that they are racist or specifically are targeting brown people? And you said it was at the beginning of his, you said Detroit was early on. So I'm going to put early.
It was funny you say that. It's funny you say that, Jimmy, because Obama actually signed the American Recovery Investment Act of 2009 that gave $4 billion to the Department of Justice that included state and local law enforcement in areas that are the most in need. So I'm just wondering, was he racist against the cops before that or after the $4 billion?
And I can't find the Detroit thing. I can't find him actually saying, in fact, the only thing I can find was the Cambridge incident where he mentioned that police acted stupidly detaining Henry Louis Gates Jr., which eventually even Fox News came around to agree. And then he had that stupid beer summit about. So it's hatred of the police. This guy is just a fucking racist, as I feel like Norm is trying to express. He invited him to the White House to have a beer. So anyway,
he gave him $4 billion. I wish somebody hated me that much that they'd give me like $4 billion. Like, hate me all you want for $4 billion.
So all right, there we go. We're gonna go ahead and now it's funny though. Thank you. I unmuted you to see if you had something meaningful to say. You don't. You just love to hear yourself talk. Again, fucking irony, Norm. So I will just put down here at the end, if you want to talk about how people, liberals even, like Obama, talked about a problem with a presumption of danger when it comes to black people and Latino people, and claim that that was Obama being bad, but literally Trump's rhetoric on specifically brown illegal immigrants, because he's never talking about the ones from England, never the ones from Sweden, the way they are literally overstating that these horrible crimes happening all over the country, but have no stats to back it up. You don't see any irony in the difference. Let's see if you can actually engage honestly when we unmute here.
Okay, so where are the deadliest cities in the world? Let's talk about that.
Red states.
Where are they?
Louisiana.
What?
Louisiana's pretty bad. So is Alabama.
No.
Yeah.
There's quite a few in Mexico, like Tijuana. Yeah, it goes Mexico. Then
wait. So Norm, wait. So you are trying to make, Norm, you are trying to make the case that brown people are more dangerous than white people. That it's on the basis of that.
Deadliest cities in the world.
So you're and you believe that Tijuana is more dangerous because the people are brown?
Because the cartels run the government, dumbass.
Right, and the reason why the cartels are so deep in
to be cool with the people having to pay the cartels to get over the border. So you seem to be cool with that.
When did I say that?
Are we cool? Are we cool with that? I didn't know you were cool with that, Jimmy.
Norm, enjoy the future arguments you continue to win in the shower, but against the people you pretend are there. But we only have 10 minutes left, so I'm going to see if we can salvage one last good call. Rather than somebody who just sits here and goes, and I'm going to tell you what things that you did the other day, where you were trying to pretend you knew my positions. And then you made a bunch of things about, you have Trump derangement syndrome. You're going to have Vance derangement syndrome next. And totally ignore the irony of every claim you're making. But listen, bud, you are definitely delusional when it comes to Trump and what you think the source of issues are.
Yeah.
I'm sure you'll try to call in the future and you will still be bad at it, but I won't ban you. I'm a pretty lighthearted guy.
I would assume he's pretty deranged for Trump. So
I love the people who yell, will you shut the fuck up? Who haven't let you complete a sentence. Literally never got to a period with that guy. Never got to a period with it. All right, let's see. I've only got time for one more, so sorry to the callers. Listen, if you want to talk about women's issues, you can go to Chewed Gum tonight. If you would like to argue for purity culture or anything, that's over on the line. That's where we're going after. But if you look up the line on YouTube, anybody who wants to call into that show begins as this show ends. But that one is more dedicated specific to women's issues. So if you believe in the patriarchy, you don't think women should vote, all those kinds of things, you could call the line tonight. But with the ones we're talking about, we'll go to, this one's kind of broad. Hector in California, you are on the line with Jimmy and Josie. How's that weather in California? Hector, are you there?
Gotta wake up your phone.
Well, it's a regular phone call, though. Hector! Well,
guess we lost Hector.
Hector is gone. All right. Well, sorry about that, Hector. If the next call doesn't, maybe I'll try it, but I'll put you back in the queue. I just can't hear you at all. I guess we'll give a shot. We've already kind of done this topic to Tony in California. Tony in California, you're on the line. How is California?
California, love the party.
All right,
California, love the party. That's pretty good. That's kind of hot, a little overcast earlier today, but it's kind of turned out to be a nice clear day.
Great.
So I just wanted to touch on one of your callers.
Sure.
From a few callers ago. I think you'd probably agree with him, but I think maybe the arguing.
Oh, no. I know which caller you're talking about. I definitely don't agree. I said I gave them, even if we do agree about things being sexually explicit, where are these other lines, what's with these other books, everything else. But for the most part, I think that it's up to parents. Anything that's available in a public library, I have no problem with being in a school library. It's up to the parents to monitor and prohibit their children from getting access to certain books and whatever. There's few things I would take out of a school library that versus a public library. Very few.
Okay, I think maybe the point that he was trying to make, and if you're out there listening, I don't mean to put words in your mouth. It's kind of like, it sounds like you are a First Amendment guy, and that's awesome. I don't know where you stand on the Second Amendment, but I think we would both agree that if you have firearms, that they need to be, you don't leave them out so kids could access them freely. And having them in a public library, school library, wherever it may be, to where, because you're not always there with your kids. You can't be there when the kid goes into the library and he goes and he grabs one of those books. Because just like a little boy cannot control his urges to play with the gun, nor can, and little boys are probably more susceptible to this, can they avoid their urges for sexual stimulation, especially once they get a taste.
So listen, Tony, I grew up as a horny little boy and had unfettered access to the library because my parents just weren't, and by the way, this included the public library. My parents just weren't involved parents. They were the ones who failed. Having the access, this is a change that needs to happen with the parents. And absolutely, I think it would be fine for parents to be able to go in and say, like, look, I wouldn't let them have R-rated movies. So a book that has these types of content in, when they take this to check out, the librarian, it pops up a thing. Nope, sorry, parental controls are there. You can't have it. And I'd even put that on books. I'd let them prohibit whatever they want on the basis of them being parents, because unfortunately, even dumb ideologies, you have the right to raise your children with. So, but whether or not then the book just isn't there in the first place, I don't. Now, by the way, when you're bringing up guns, I am pro Second Amendment. However, I absolutely would regulate guns. I would have a gun registry, and I would make you, especially for like bigger guns, like assault rifles and whatever else, I would make you get a license, prove that you can use it, prove that you have, you know, the safety things. I would basically do everything you have to do with a car. You'd have to carry insurance. You would, I guess you don't have to prove you can keep a car in a safe parking location, but I would make sure that I would add that on top of the car thing. So just to get both topics in there at the same time. But parents, that's up to them to set the permissions. I don't think it'd be hard to implement and add that if we need to the school library system. And at no point growing up, if I wanted to see pornography, did a little thing like whether the library would let me do it prevent me from seeing pornography. It is actually hilarious to have so many conservatives who are like, my child with a smartphone that I also don't check should not be able to check out a book that tells them or shouldn't be able to read the Diary of Anne Frank. Again, that's one of the ones that's been banned. Yeah. Shouldn't be able to read one of John Green's books that has zero sexuality, just history stuff. But it's too woke because it addresses racism. Like it's you know, the what's being even if I granted these sexual arguments, the sexual stuff is such a minor part of the overall how these parents are trying to ban what they consider woke, which is an ill-defined term. Anyway, Tony, I talked quite a bit there. Go ahead.
So then perhaps maybe you and the other caller and even myself would agree that maybe having something up front, kind of, so like if a child goes into a library, maybe there's a section for children, let's say just for this conversation, 18 years and older section, kind of like maybe how the the adult arcades or the adult bookstores do. You shouldn't be in there unless I believe you're 18.
I don't think that's necessary unless there's an actual porn section. This is like so over the top. Not necessary.
This is over the top. And I just want to add this. So if a kid is having questions about their gender identity or their sexuality, and they go to a library and they ask the librarian, hey, is there any books that I can learn more about this? Because it's important to me and how I'm feeling, you would say no to that kid?
I would say like that falls into the same category as getting a tattoo. You know what I mean? Like you wouldn't want.
Hold on. I'm not talking about a kid putting ink on their skin. I'm talking about people who are questioning their sexual orientation or their gender identity. I'm not talking about like cosmetic stuff happening to their body. I'm just talking about those two things.
Yeah. Should a kid have to wait until they're 18 to have access to stuff? If their question is, hey, I'm a guy and I feel like I'm attracted to guys, do they have to wait till 18 to read a book that tells them they're not a freak about it for that? Their question is, is this weird? Am I wrong? Am I a freak?
I think that is probably a better conversation for them to have with their parent. Because I'll say this.
Okay. Let me play that out, Tony.
Guys, we have 2 minutes.
Give me 1 second.
Unfortunately, we have 2 minutes, so we got to go fast. Yeah.
So Tony, I just want to go real quick because this is why we're doing it. I'm so sorry. So let's say you're a librarian, you're in the school, and they say, "Hey, I want to know more about, I'm a boy and I love other boys. Can I learn about that?" And then you say, "Well, why don't you talk to your parents about that?" "Well, my dad says that gay people should die. I don't want to tell him because I'm afraid." What do you do then?
Well, that's a probably a complicated subject that we don't have. I would love to get into that further, but 2 minutes isn't enough time to really explore that.
Sure, Tony, we're back.
That being said,
and now we're down to one. Tony.
Let me make
very brief.
Let me make my final point.
Go ahead, and then call back Thursdays.
Yes.
Okay.
And then call back Thursday because I'll be back.
My final point is that kids are very influential. A friend told me years and years and years ago, and I believe it's true today. We were kids when he told me this. He said, if you tell a little kid that his great grandfather is Bigfoot, he will grow up to be an adult believing his great grandfather's Bigfoot. Yes, I know it's an exaggeration.
Sure, Tony, but he's not going to be attracted to Bigfoot. Learning that gay people exist doesn't make anybody gay, but it does prevent people from internalizing hatred and having all the depression and stuff that Republicans pretend they care about when something tragic happens that we need to be addressing the mental health issue. Meanwhile, they want to continue to suppress people in those boxes. But that said, Tony, we do got to go. Can you call back Thursday? I'm back Thursday at 5 and we'll be on for more time.
Yeah, I'll see if I can. Have a great day, guys.
Thanks, Tony.
And gals.
Bye. Bye. Thank you. Bye.
That was very kind. All right, yeah. Hector, sorry, we don't have time. I hope you call back also on Thursday. But otherwise, anybody who wants to call about women's issues, political, religious, all that sort of thing, you should go over to Chewed Gum over on the line. Thank you all. And here is the outro. Norm called again and said so many ironic things. I can't believe Norm can't buy some self-awareness. I think it's $17 at the corner store. Bye, everybody. Bye, everybody. Thank you, Josie, for joining today.